All set to go. Here's the tail of the tape for this fight. Similar ages, both past the 30 mark, similar heights, and both comfortably inside the cruiserweight limit. Thompson is a natural cruiserweight. And you'll see here that Rocchigiani has had a lot more experience. Look at that, 330 rounds boxed against 95 by Thompson, but Thompson with a much bigger knockout percentage, 66 to 27. Tells a story.
Ladies and gentlemen, this contest is conducted and sanctioned under the rules of the World Boxing Organization, whose supervisor at ringside is Mr. John Montana of Arizona, USA. The British Boxing Board of Control's supervisor is Mr. Simon Block of London, and the steward in charge tonight, Mr. Dennis Lockton. The timekeeper at the bell is Mr. Colin Roberts, and the judges appointed by the WBO, Mr. Gene Glenn of Cleveland, Ohio, Mr. Frank Skilbred of Orlando, and Mr. Stuart Winston of Miami, Florida. And the man in the middle of the action this evening and officiating in his 9th world title contest, the referee, Gino Rodriguez of Chicago. My lords, ladies and gentlemen, from the GMEX Centre in Manchester, live and exclusive on Sky Sports Big Time Boxing, it's big fight time. Frank Warren for Sports Network proudly presents a contest of 12 3-minute rounds to decide the vacant WBO Cruiserweight Championship between introducing the boxers. Firstly, in the red corner, wearing the black trunks with the gold trim, and fighting from Berlin. From 48 professional contests, he has 33 wins, 13 coming by way of KO, 8 losses, and 7 draws. Would you please welcome the former Cruiserweight Champion of Germany, Ralf Rocchigiani. And across the ring in the blue corner, wearing the gold trunks and coming from Manchester, from 21 professional fights, he has 18 wins, 14 coming by way of the big KO, with just 3 losses. He's the former undefeated British, European and WBC International Cruiserweight Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, Carl the Cat Thompson. At the official weigh-in, the Rocchigiani scaled 13 stone 5.5 pounds. Thompson 13 stone 6 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, the WBO Cruiserweight Championship of the world.
Obey my commands at all times, protect yourself at all times. Good luck.
Short and sweet from referee Gino Rodriguez from Chicago. Well, everything else that's happened in Carl Thompson's career crystallized really into one night. Can he become the WBO Cruiserweight Champion and become Manchester's first world champion for 60 years? Thompson in the yellow shorts here against Ralf Rocchigiani, who above everything else is strong and durable. What do you think should be Thompson's tactics here, Glenn?
I think he's got to use his power. He's got to use the punch power. He's got to try and get to him. He's got to loosen up, and then he's got to start winging in big shots. This man hasn't been stopped before, so he hasn't got to blow himself out. He's got to be prepared to try and get rid of him. But if that doesn't work, he's got to be able to switch to plan B and make sure he has enough points.
Certainly not so pumped up with adrenaline, Thompson, that he rushed out into an all-out assault, just feeling his way in the opening round. In truth, Rocchigiani has not really impressed at all in recent contests. Some say he's lucky to get this second world title chance. Thompson certainly deserves his chance after those excellent away wins in European title fights against Massimiliano Duran and Akim Taipa. Starting to find the range with that jab.
Yes, they both have a little bit of a look at each other, as you can well expect in a world title fight.
Thompson really has been in the shadows. A long, long way from being a household name, and getting through with a good right hand as well there. It's a good confident start from him. Mixing it up to head and body, and with some hand speed too.
This is starting to get a little bit more confidence and let a few more punches go.
There are shades of the Dennis Andrews story a bit about Thompson, from pretty modest, humble beginnings. He's grown and grown in stature, and he's getting his chance late. He's dangerous with that right hand. Phased, is he, though, Rocchigiani? He's been there, seen it all before, hasn't he, so many times?
Yes, he's very experienced, had a lot of fights, been in with some good men, light, heavy and heavy, so I don't think he'll be phased with this. I mean, he's taking the centre ring, he's having a long, good look at Carl Thompson.
No, that was Thompson's round emphatically.
11 o'clock and it's time for a break.
Oh.
Let's put a flake in this break.
When you're gasping, asking for a break,
And you're chocolate, like the taste of Cadbury's flake. Delicious flake fingers, crispy wafer, all covered in Cadbury's milk chocolate.
that makes it time out. Just take a time out. Cadbury's time out.
No matter what you're doing, yeah,
Put a flake in your break.
the Cadbury's time out.
Welcome back to Manchester, which has been the stage for quite a few world title fights in recent years. A couple of Eubank fights, the Hodkinson-Villasana, and Carl Thompson here making a good start, Glenn.
Yes, that was a nice start. He started to get his jab off, get the range, and then he landed a combination like that. There was a couple of good ones in that round. You just see their right hand, double left too. So he's just starting to loosen up and get his feel for it.
Second round, 12 round, of course, is the distance. Through with some heavy-looking shots, Thompson already. Not much coming back from Rocchigiani so far.
Well, they were heavy shots from Thompson.
Just the other night, his brother, Graziano Rocchigiani, lost a very close fight with Henry Masker in Germany in front of a huge crowd. You might have caught that last night on Sky. He's at ringside, Graziano, and that's his first punch landed almost, Rocchigiani, in round two. There is one other factor that might come into play later here, and that is Thompson's never been beyond 8 rounds before, so I suppose stamina, you'd have to say, still a question mark with him. There's nothing to prove that he won't stay, but we don't know until we get to that kind of stage. Rocchigiani has been that kind of distance on a few occasions.
Thompson's got to be a little bit careful with that right hand from Rocchigiani. It doesn't look a bad punch. It's nice and sharp, and he's got to be careful when he throws the jab out. Just got to watch that counter.
Taking a few on the gloves, the German. Second round. The smaller hall at the GMEX Central's filled up nicely with Thompson fans as the night's gone on. Former fighter from the old Champs camp in Manchester, run by the late Phil Martin, and Billy Graham, his trainer, has gone over to the Oliver's gym with him, where he does his work.
Well, Rocchigiani, he's not coming back with a great deal. He's allowing Thompson to do pretty much what he wants at this moment.
Going to the right right hand again, Thompson. And the right uppercut was a good punch by the man from Manchester. Ooh. Hurtful looking blows from Thompson.
There's two good right hands, the right uppercut and the right hook, but Rocchigiani took them well.
It's all worked out beautifully with the new Laguna.
Live big-time boxing from Manchester, the GMEX Centre, and Carl Thompson's made a good start here in search of the World Cruiserweight Championship WBO version. Not much from Rocchigiani so far, Glenn.
Very little. I think a right hand he threw in that round looked a little bit dangerous, a little bit sharp, but he's just not doing enough, and he's allowing Thompson to dictate the whole fight.
Thompson in the yellow trunks. Now calling himself the Cat for reasons I can't really explain. Sounds good. Thompson's shied away from publicity in the past. He's been quite introverted, but he's a affable, down-to-earth kind of guy who sort of looks at you as if he wonders what all the fuss is about when you start questioning him about his big chance. Just another job to be done, he says. I'm sure he knows it's a bit bigger than that.
I'm sure he does. He's doing a good job. It's good work from him. He's remembering to use the jab, so he's loading up now and again. He's missing with some big shots, but he's still using that jab, so he's still building the points.
Good right to the body as well. Just looking to bring those gloves of Rocchigiani's down with some body punches, Thompson. A glancing blow, really. Big cheers from the back of the hall, but it wasn't the hefty punch it might have looked from there.
But again, there's very little comeback from Rocchigiani. Even with the jab, he's just having too much of a look, and he's allowing Thompson to do his own thing.
You just wonder whether he's getting to the stage of his career, Rocchigiani, where he's getting a wee bit on the shop-worn side. I mean, he's getting up close to 50 fights now.
Yes, I think you've got to wonder about the hunger in his belly, because he's certainly, at this moment, he's not looking like a man who's fighting for a world title.
In fact, he's made the kind of slow start his brother did against Chris Eubank. That was a better punch from Rocchigiani. Left hook to the body. He needs to do a hell of a lot more, really.
Yes, he's just waiting a little bit too much. He's looking for a counter all the time, and really to have a chance with the points, he needs to be using that jab.
The steady work behind the jab from Thompson, and occasional heavier punches are getting the job done. A little warning for a low blow at the end of the round. Thompson's round again, though.
Bring some sunshine back into your life with Eric and Little Ern.
Eric Morecambe. How are you? You mean that this is even... No! Hilarious. Who thinks of lines like that? Now look at me when I'm talking. Oh, you are? Oh, you're ambidextrous. No, Church of England. It's like being on the puppet show. Oh. Want to fight? No?
Morecambe and Wise, classic British comedy.
We shouldn't have done this show, Dennis.
Only on UK Gold. Prime time, all the time.
3 rounds gone. 3 rounds to Carl Thompson of Manchester in this world title fight. There's Ralf Rocchigiani challenging for a world title and hoping for better luck than his brother. Here he is, Graziano, who did really well against Henry Masker and came close to winning. Fought Chris Eubank and lost to him. His only other defeat. Scorecard so far showing Thompson in complete control of things. What can Rocchigiani do about it? There's Glenn's scorecard.
Yes, he's in a comfortable lead, Thompson. Just a nice left jab and left hook. Just seemed to rock Rocchigiani, and then the right hand again. Good punches from Thompson.
The German has been very, very negative so far.
Very negative. Certainly not fighting like a man who wants to win a world title.
He's landed with some heavy blows, and you just wonder how soon it is before they start to take a serious toll, even of a resilient fighter like Rocchigiani. Just blinking a little bit. Some of those land, not surprisingly. Thompson hits hard.
But Rocchigiani, he's not doing enough to keep Thompson off balance. Thompson is going to land them shots unless Rocchigiani uses the jab or hits him to keep him off balance.
I'm sure Thompson would like to get this job done in spectacular fashion, maybe create a few rare headlines for himself. He's been disappointed with how little publicity his efforts have received so far. Looks swelled up now around the eye a little bit, Rocchigiani. There's a hint of a swelling and some blood around, I think, by that left eye of Rocchigiani. Yeah, there is. Referee wants to look at that. Ooh, looks a nasty one. And that stung him into action. He's in trouble in this fight, Rocchigiani. He's been under heavy pressure. He's cut.
Yes, the cut looked in a bad place as well. It's made him liven up a little bit.
He needed to. His brother was on his feet at ringside there, urging him to get forward. Thompson has been teeing off, and he's definitely not elusive, is he, Rocchigiani? He's there to be hit. Last few seconds of round 4. And it's another good round for Thompson, who's starting to get through with some eye-catching work. I wonder what Barry McGuigan is making of the action so far. Barry?
I think Carl is doing everything right. I think he could be a bit more aggressive. When he comes up on top of Rocchigiani, he's actually doing much better work. When he backs up, he is being caught with the occasional right hand and left hook. And this guy, although not a puncher, had landed cleanly on a few occasions. We're having a look at the cut here. A pretty bad-looking cut too. You can see that it's actually in near the eyelash, so it's going to be running down into the eye and causing him problems. But Thompson would do better if he actually backed up on top of this guy, landed some real good shots himself, but tried the uppercut and the right hand around the side. But he's a better attacking fighter, so he should back him up. Had to pick up a few shots himself on the way in here.
Thank you, Barry McGuigan, watching with us here at the GMEX as they go into round 5. Carl Thompson of Manchester doing very well so far as he bids to become a world champion, winning all the rounds. Now Rocchigiani just getting more again. He's going to do the right hand. Oh, Thompson suddenly it all drains away from him. What a turnaround in the 5th round. It was a right hand. Has Thompson had long enough to recover? An amazing turnabout in the 5th. And from being in total control, Thompson suddenly looks to have a far, far stiffer job on his hands. Rocchigiani, not noted as a heavy puncher, has Thompson on the floor. What about that then?
Unbelievable. A couple of tremendous shots, and he looked as if he wasn't going to get up from them punches. I'm not sure where Rocchigiani brought them from, but when he cleared his head for a second, Thompson came out with a decent right hand of his own, and Rocchigiani hasn't pressed his advantage.
He's standing off, isn't he? He's got Thompson in trouble, and he's giving Thompson a breather. This is almost reminiscent of that 10th round with Chris Eubank against Steve Collins. He surely had to go forward there, Rocchigiani. But he knows now he can hurt Thompson. That's put a different perspective on things.
Yes, but if ever somebody had the world title in the palm of his hands and let it slip away, he did there.
Well, that's amazing, isn't it, too, for an old, experienced pro like that. His professional fighter's instincts led him down at a key moment, and Thompson has been allowed to get off the hook a bit. They patched up the eye reasonably well, although it's just beginning to bleed again, and Rocchigiani starting to dab at that left eye once more. Now, that was a real scare for Thompson. He seems to be okay again now. Now, that's largely because the German just stood off. Dramatic 5th round. Talk about 3 minutes being a long time in boxing. Thompson's right back in control again.
That's right, he's pulled himself down, cleared his head.
Oh, he's got it! Right hand! They're both down in the 5th round. Caught him flush. He was up at about 6. The count has to go on to 8. Well, this is some round, isn't it? You won't see many better than this. And now Thompson fancies he can get the job done. He's got him again with the right hand and an uppercut, and the bell comes not a moment too soon for Rocchigiani. Well, an astonishing round in which Rocchigiani seemed to be on the verge of victory, and Thompson came round and looked like he was going to win it himself until the bell sounded to end the round.
Unbelievable. He was in desperate trouble, and it didn't look as if he was going to make it. Got caught with some great shots. There we see it. Right hook, the left hook and the long right hand, and then just finished up with that right hand to put him on the floor. And at that point, it didn't look as if he was going to get up.
There is Graziano and his wife, who are here to support brother Ralf.
And there's the right hand from Thompson. He really got all the leverage in. They both went for right hands together, and Thompson was the one that scored.
Well, I guess you have to score that round even. They were both on the floor. Well, it's a bit of a stormer now. 6th round. You almost wonder what's going to happen next.
Well, we now know they can both be hurt. So it's still right there, wide open. There's a lot of blood around Rocchigiani's face now, Ian.
Yes, that cut's got a lot worse. Right at the start of the round, too. Well, if Thompson was just beginning to get careless against what he thought might have been a negative opponent, he knows now that this German can be dangerous. Rocchigiani's face is now a red mask. He's really letting the leather fly now, Thompson. Rocchigiani covering up desperately. But Thompson can't afford to leave himself open.
Rocchigiani took some good shots in this round. There's some nasty cuts. A lot of blood around the left-hand side of his face. I'm not sure if it's on the side of his head or his ear, or if it's just coming up off the eye.
Well, before the fight, Rocchigiani had boasted that he'd never been down in his career. He has now.
the good thing for Thompson is he's keeping himself focused. His concentration is still very good.
There are more cuts around Rocchigiani's face by the side of the nose, it looks, as well. Oh, he's caught with another left hook. I'm not sure how much more of this he can take, because these are heavy punches. These are bombs from Thompson. Still, his brother is waving him forward. Rocchigiani saying, take the fight to this fellow, you can hurt him. He might be right about that.
Well, I'm sure he can't hurt him. He's proved that. He knows he's got it, but a good left, a good right hand there from Thompson.
And again, having landed, he just stands up again. Thompson has been put down before. He's lost 3 to Crawford Ashley, current British champion Yor Davis, and Franco Wanyama. But he's on a long winning streak at the moment. I wonder what twists and turns are still to come here.
Yes, it's certainly an exciting fight. Everything happening.
There goes the bell to end the round. That would have been Thompson's round again. He's pulling away, but it's dramatic, this one.
You can work as hard as no one works as hard as, never work as hard as, woo, as hard as right God. You can work as hard as, try to work as hard as, you can work as hard as, woo, as hard as right God. It ain't possible. You can work as hard as, cannot work as hard as, never work as hard as, woo, as hard as right guard.
You can't work as hard as right guard with double protection.
6 rounds gone, 6 to go. If it lasts that long here, there's a lot of facial damage for Rocchigiani. It looks a bit better now they've patched him up. Often these things do. But he's showing signs of wear and tear. But this is a tough, leathery old campaigner.
Oh, he certainly is. He took some good shots in that last round, and he's still there, and he still has the possibility of hurting Thompson.
7th round. Thompson undoubtedly would have a big lead on points at this stage, but it may not come down to points. There's Glenn's scorecard, and I'd concur with that. That 5th round we scored even when they were both on the floor. One of the best rounds, surely, of the year in anywhere in the world.
Now, as the fight's warmed up, we're starting to get to the middle rounds. We've got to start asking, how's Thompson going to be if it goes later in this fight? He hasn't gone beyond 8.
And it could come into play. He's hit him with everything, hasn't he, Thompson, and he just won't go.
He certainly has, and sometimes that can have an effect on a fighter when they've hit him out with their best shots and he still comes forward. Sometimes that can take a little bit of heart away from a fighter.
As we were telling you, Glenn beside me won this World Cruiserweight title, IBF version, but Sammy Reeson failed, and Derek Angle, who started a big favourite against Tyrone Booz, he failed too. And that was right here in the GMEX Centre. So it's proved an elusive crown for British boxing to pick up in this 13 stone, 8-pound division, the one below heavyweight. Good left hook to the body from Rocchigiani, who's getting a bit more ambitious.
Yes, he seems to have more success when he pushes forward, but he doesn't do it often enough. And when he doesn't do it fast enough. He just slowly creeps forward. But he seems to have success when he puts Thompson on the back foot.
Left hook from Rocchigiani. He's throwing more leather now. We look for signs of Thompson slowing up. He was telling me last night, yes, I know I've been knocking people out, but I'm trained for 12 rounds here. And I know I'm up against a resilient fighter. One thing's saying it, another doing it, of course.
Yes, and Rocchigiani just starting to do a little bit more this round, just starting to land a little bit more. Thompson doing less and less.
Rocchigiani's face holding up better in this round as well. Not so much blood around. There are a few German fans here, and they're screaming out with their advice to Rocchigiani. A few sitting behind us. You're probably just catching them. Quieter round. But goodness me, we needed a breather.
Yes, I think that could have been the first round I would have given Rocchigiani. Thompson shut up shop altogether, and Rocchigiani just kept coming forward slowly, just landing with a few little counters, and just seemed slightly the busy. But I think both men were taking a bit of a breather there. Both men desperately tired after them hectic rounds before that.
Coming up, by the way, that mega bill from Wembley on July the 22nd. Don't miss this. Frank Bruno's fourth and surely last attempt to become a world heavyweight champion against Oliver McCall. Nigel Benz defending his title on the bill. We don't know the opponent yet. And Virgil Hill, the long-reigning light heavyweight champion, also in action.
10 seconds, corners.
This is interesting, this fight here, because although Thompson's in a big lead, Rocchigiani has shown he can be dangerous, and he's a proven, durable stayer. And were there signs in that last round that maybe Thompson was just slowing up a bit? Let's see what happens now in the 8th. I've seen fighters claw things back in the closing rounds before several times.
Yes, and Rocchigiani's very experienced. He's been here before. He's been in with bigger guys and tough guys. So he's experienced. He's had a lot more fights.
Upping the tempo again, Thompson. You wouldn't think he'd lack for stamina or conditioning. He's in the gym every day, whether he's got a fight coming up or not. He never smokes, never drinks. So he's caught with the right hand. Oh, caught with the right hand, Thompson. I thought he was really badly hurt for a moment. He just seemed to be feigning it a little bit. He grinned and then got back to the job for a horrible moment there. I thought he was in terrible trouble.
Yes, it looked as if he's in trouble, and then he just seemed to grin, and I think that put Rocchigiani off. I don't think he felt he was hurt enough, but Thompson's come out with a good left hook.
Yes, he might almost have been trying to draw Rocchigiani into a follow-up attack and hope to get him with a counter. He's all right, Thompson.
Every now and again, you just get a few danger signals about Thompson, whether he's feigning or not when he gets hit.
Yes, he's winning at the moment, but you don't feel secure about it somehow, do you?
You don't. And Rocchigiani, he's more prepared to try and push Thompson back. He's not prepared to really commit himself and have a go yet.
Would a little more ambition pay for Rocchigiani? There's the right hand again. That's his honey punch.
Yes, he's not going to commit himself. He's waiting for Thompson to make a mistake.
He's got him again with it. Thompson, this time he is hurt. Covers up, took it well, and found a right hand counter. But I think Thompson's slowing. He's on the ropes. He's just laying there.
He's definitely in trouble. He's just looking. I think he's trying to look for one big shot.
Is the gas tank running down towards empty for Carl Thompson? He's wanted to take breathers in this round. And Rocchigiani has had increasing success with the right hand. Poised beautifully this fight. Rocchigiani's round, for my money, that one.
Yes, I would say the same way. He had the best part of the fight, and he certainly hurt Thompson in that round. I think the first time Thompson maybe feigned it a little bit. He went back against the ropes. I'm not sure how hurt he was, but the second time he was hurt. There's the big right hand. He goes back, and he looks more hurt here, but he just seems to have a little look, and he loads up for the right hand. I think that just scared Rocchigiani from making full commitment there. There's a good left too, because Thompson gets himself back in the fight. So it's all excitement.
But then it was Rocchigiani in charge again, like that.
And this one, I'm sure, did hurt Thompson. But again, he hasn't got the commitment to really go for it, Ian. There's his brother, frantic, wanting his man to go in there. I think he senses that he's so close to win the world title.
Well, Ralf Rocchigiani getting this unexpected chance, which a lot of good judges said he hadn't really earned. And here we are in the 9th round. Thompson still ahead, but the gap may be just beginning to narrow. You see, Glenn's given the German the last 2 rounds. He still has Thompson with a 3-point advantage. He needs to just pick it up, re-establish himself a bit, you feel. Manchester haven't had a world champion since Jackie Brown, who reigned from 1932 to 35 at flyweight. Can Thompson end that long, barren run? Plenty of work still to be done.
Rocchigiani has shown himself to be very tough and durable, but has lacked that little bit strength to go forward and really attack and really try and pull this crown away.
I don't know, maybe he's lost on the big occasion, the really big occasion, so often, Rocchigiani, that maybe there's a little bit of lack of self-belief. It looks that way, doesn't it? He seems just hesitant to really go forward. He's a natural counter-puncher, of course, so he's always waiting for Thompson to lead.
That's right, but there comes a time, especially in a world title fight, when you've got to commit yourself, where you've got to say it's all or nothing. What have you got to lose? You've got to go for it, and that's the one thing that we're not seeing from Rocchigiani. He's looking to counter and try and land with a good punch against Thompson without taking any chances.
Cuts don't seem to be a problem anymore to Rocchigiani. Quiet round, but Thompson's doing most of the work.
Yes, he's the one he's trying to lead off, and he's trying to score points, and the jab has been effective throughout this fight.
Billy Graham, the 40-year-old trainer of Carl Thompson, just saying, just box him. Maybe just conserving a bit of energy in this round as well, Thompson. He's not throwing so many heavy punches, but his jabs worked for him quite well. He needs to chalk up another round, you feel. Rocchigiani doing less. Crowd absolutely absorbed in this.
Yes, you just feel that one punch could change this whole fight. Thompson more and more out of distance as he lunges with that long right hand. He's not getting his range now. You just feel he's a little bit tentative.
I think probably Thompson won that simply on the jab. Now then, Barry McGuigan, since we last heard from him, the odd thing has happened in this fight, Barry.
Yes, most definitely, Ian. The problem is that Carl Thompson's defence is very leaky indeed. He's getting very tired, and it's very apparent that he's getting tired. His hands are coming down. But when he backs up, he's wide open, and this guy can hit him at any time. And that's why it seems to be every time he's on the floor, he gets back up again and fires back. But he would have much more success if he actually tried to back Rocchigiani up and stay close to him. It's when he's out loose and drops his hands that Rocchigiani can nail him.
Thanks, Barry. He just needs to apply more pressure, you feel, Rocchigiani. There's Thompson. How tired is he? Instructions from Billy Graham. 10th round. 9 minutes remaining. He must be ahead on the scorecards, Thompson, mustn't he?
I'm sure he is. He's done more of the work, and his jab has been much more effective, so I'm sure he's in a nice lead. But I think everybody is waiting for the fireworks, because I think you always get the feeling there's a lot can happen yet.
Barry McGuigan felt that Thompson might be getting very tired. It does look that way. Rocchigiani's taken a lot. How much has he got left as well? Three American judges will score this.
I feel Rocchigiani has to do something special. I think he has to win inside the distance. I don't think he can take it on points. And at the moment, he just hasn't got the commitment to do that. He's still relying on a counter.
First time that Thompson's ever been this far in his career. This is only the 22nd professional fight in it. 49th for Rocchigiani, who's been the 12-round distance 3 times.
Again, Rocchigiani landed with the right hand, and you just got the feeling Thompson was hurt again, but he hasn't followed it up.
Yes, I'm sure the German's corner must be frustrated with him, really, because you sense that maybe for him the fight is there for the winning. If only he would just be a wee bit more positive.
Yes, he really has to show a little bit more devil, and every now and again we see his brother Graziano Rocchigiani jump up and he bellows at his brother to attack.
And he's just allowing Thompson to stand off and jab, jab, jab him.
You see Graziano Rocchigiani up on his feet there, bellowing at his brother. He wants him to come forward, he wants him to throw more shots.
Good right to the head, and Thompson is caught. Wow. And he'll get a mandatory 8 count. I must confess I didn't see the punch that did that. But Thompson suddenly caught again in round 10.
I'm not sure what happened there, and he seemed to complain that of his left hand, and Rocchigiani hit him when he was complaining of his right hand. But I think maybe there's a few distress signals coming from Thompson.
I'd like to look at that again, I must say, between the rounds. But Thompson, was that a distress signal? What really happened there? He certainly took a count, and that will make it a 10-8 round, a 2-point margin round to Rocchigiani, I'm sure, on the scorecards. Ernie Fossey there, helping out in the corner as well. Now, let's see if we can unravel this mystery.
Yes, he's been pushed forward there. He goes back and he just seems to dip down. We couldn't say it there, but he seems as if he maybe gets a cramp in his bicep or something. He throws the right hand, complains he's done something when he's thrown the right hand. And Rocchigiani takes advantage.
But was it a knockdown? It was scored a knockdown, but I didn't see a punch that caused it. It seemed to be he wanted to go down to get a respite. Well, 11th round, and Rocchigiani must be closing the points deficit. On our scorecards, he hasn't actually closed it yet, but that 10th round, and that was a controversial incident. There we are. Glenn's got a 2-point margin. So if Rocchigiani could win the last 2 rounds, this could be very, very interesting. Thompson's caught by a right. That's knocked plenty out of it. And another, oh, it's all going here for Thompson. He's hurt, his right arm's hurt. He's struggling with that. Maybe it's the shoulder. Are they going to have to retire him? Oh, he's badly hurt. No, he's all over. I think he's got a serious injury to the right arm, and it's stopped. Is it a dislocated shoulder? It might be. He cannot go on. He's clearly in distress, and what a sad end that is for Carl Thompson. Ralf Rocchigiani, at the age of 32, becomes the WBO cruiserweight champion, and Thompson, who I would think was ahead on the scorecards and within sight of victory, can't go on. It's a bit unsatisfactory, that, wasn't it?
I think it was. I personally think there was beginning to be a few distress signals from Thompson. I think it was getting hard for him. I'm sure he has injured his arm, but I don't think it's a dislocation. I sensed a few distress signals.
Now that right arm is a major problem there. There's the two brothers. There we are. They've had a real wild reputation in Germany. A couple of playboys in their youth. brushes with the law. They settled down a bit more in recent years. And Graziano didn't become a world champion again. He'd already held a world title previously in his career, but Ralf becomes one for the first time.
And there he throws the right hand, gets one back to the body. And there we see he drops. I mean, he did take a shot himself. I'm not sure what happened.
Now, while you're watching this, poor old Thompson is now out on the floor. And he's in a lot of pain. Ooh, I think they're putting the shoulder back in. I think it may well have been dislocated.
Yes, from them pictures it looks like it is. He's in desperate pain.
Oh dear, oh dear. It hurts to look at it, doesn't it? What a terrible disappointment for him, that. But he certainly was, from about, you felt the 7th on, you just thought the tank was running dry, didn't you?
You did, yes. You sensed he was starting to have problems. Things were not going right. I think the tenaciousness of Rocchigiani was just beginning to prove dividends. He just kept a little bit of pressure on all the time, and I think Thompson was beginning to have a few problems. He was on top right at the beginning, but then just from the middle part of the fight, he just started to do less and less. And right at the end, when he got damage to his arm.
But he was ahead, wasn't he? I think he was ahead.
I had him ahead.
Yeah, well, we've checked with one of the judges. All three had him ahead, we can confirm. All three had Thompson ahead when he had to pull out with what looks to be a dislocated shoulder. We're trying to confirm that. Shades there of what happened to Colin McMillan when he lost his World Featherweight Championship to Ruben Palacio. The scores, I can tell you, were this. Thompson ahead by 6 points on one card, by 5 on another, and 5 on a third. So they had it by a bigger margin than Glenn and I at ringside. He was undoubtedly, unless he got knocked out, which he could have been, on his way to a victory if he'd heard the final bell. That is a nightmare for poor old Carl Thompson. And Ralf Rocchigiani, who's paid his dues in this game, an unlikely and an improbable world champion at the age of 32. He's got a new trainer, Fritz Sudanek. He said to me last night, new trainer, new luck. So it turned out.
It certainly did. He certainly had all the luck there.
Let's get Mike Goodall's version, the MC. Maybe he'll be able to tell us in a moment exactly what did happen. He's still talking to Frank Warren. We'll try to get some words with the Thompson people as well for you. Frank Warren's just looking at the scorecards. Here's Mike Goodall, I think, now.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 38 seconds of round 11, the winner by TKO and new cruiserweight champion of the world, Ralf Rocchigiani.
Well, it's the night of a German triumph in Manchester. Two German footballers have been making a name for themselves down the road at Manchester City, and now a German boxer comes here to Manchester. But your heart goes out to Carl Thompson. Fancy that happening to him in that situation.
In Inglewood in Los Angeles in Kalifornien 5.600 Zuschauer. Das ist der Herausforderer aus Thailand. Und jetzt kommt die kleine, große